Hi, Augustin. Welcome to Hong Kong.
Hi, good afternoon.
Is it your first time to come to Hong Kong?
Of course not. I'm coming here almost once every 3 months or once every 2 months.
It's really frequent.
Yes, it's a very good market for us. We are really trying to educate as much as we can because we are convinced that all the sweet wine from Bordeaux, we call it the gold wine because as you can see, the color is gold. The gold wine from Bordeaux can definitely have a wonderful success and wonderful future with the Chinese cuisine, the wonderful complex Chinese cuisine.
So how do you think of the event today? Is it good?
The event is very crowded, very good. Just before coming here, we were also in Chengdu, where actually the Sichuan cuisine is also very popular, with a lot of spiciness. And we are convinced that our wines again, Chateau Guiraud and all the sweet wine from Sauternes, can match very well with this the Chinese cuisine and the spicy food, because it balances everything in your palate.
So today we're tasting 2010.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you think, or how do you compare with 2009 for Guiraud?
2009 was almost an easy vintage. All the conditions were very great, perfect. So we had a beautiful vintage in quantity and in quality. You have to know that in Sauternes, in Sudai in Chinese, in Sudai, with one vine tree we produce 1 glass of wine. So the yield is very, very low. And in 2009 we had also the quantity and the quality. But the wine was more full-bodied, with more concentration, thanks to the great sun we had. In 2010 we had a very good weather too, with good variation of temperature between days and night, which preserved pretty well the acidity. And we all know that acidity is mandatory to produce great wine. So what you have in this wine is freshness, minerality, and great acidity, which I think will give a very, very long life to these wines, because these wines can age for 50, 100 years sometimes.
Wow, that's quite long.
They have a great longevity, these wines. Not only thanks to the sweetness, but thanks to the acidity.
Okay.
Just for the 2010 compared to the 2009, I think this wine, the style of the wine is more elegant, more feminine, more fine, and yeah, easier to drink, I think, right now, and very enjoyable.
Okay, so how about 2012? Because it was heard, because everyone knows that D'Yquem is not releasing any vintage, and it was said that it's not a really satisfied year for Sauternes. So what has happened there?
2012, I mean, unfortunately, the Mother Nature is not the same from a year to another. That's why when you purchase a bottle of Bordeaux, you always have to pay attention to the vintage. 2012 was a pretty good, pretty difficult vintage at the beginning with some mildew. It's a disease that happened in the vineyard. For us, it was also complicated because the vineyard is 100% now certified organic, which means that we don't use any chemical treatments in the vineyard. So it has been another challenge for us. But at Chateau Guiraud in 2012, after a lot of discussion, a lot of tasting, we realized that we are going to be able to produce some wine, but only for our dear lovers of Chateau Guiraud, with 800 cases of wine, which is nothing when you take into consideration that we have an estate of 100 hectares in one unit. So we are the closest, very close to D'Yquem, Chateau D'Yquem, 5 minutes walking distance. So it's true that the climatical conditions they had was very similar to what we had. It was difficult, but we have tried to work and to do the best selection possible in the vineyard to pick the best wine.
Is it due to weather, bad weather in summer and also during harvest? That's why both you and D'Yquem is not producing a lot.
And we had also a lot of rain during the harvest. It means that, and you know, that's the specificities of Bordeaux. You can have a few kilometers away, like 10 kilometers away, all the conditions are perfect, and some people can produce wonderful wines. I think the wines from Barsac will be very beautiful this year, which is good. But that's the nature. You cannot go against the Mother Nature, and it's part of the game. And you know, in Sauternes, when it's not good, we don't produce. It's the rule. It has been the case with some vintages like 92, 93, with very limited quantity or almost none. So that's a good sign for the consumer, because the consumer, if they find a bottle of Sauternes on the shelf, available in the shop, it means that the quality was there. If it's not good in Sauternes, we don't produce. We produce only quality because we are convinced that 99% of the quality of the wine is coming from the selection in the vineyard. Nothing is, no need of technology, anything. The truth of the bottle is the truth of the vineyard.
So how do you see the difference in doing marketing in European countries versus Asian or in Hong Kong?
Every market is very different, and I would say personally my point of view is about food, because I mean all these wines, the strengths of Bordeaux is, again I was mentioning that earlier on, is the balance, because we want our wines to be food-friendly wines, and we want wines which will highlight the food and the quality of the food. So it's true that every market is different, because for instance in some countries our wines will be associated to I don't know, maybe poultry or lobster in the northeast of the US, for instance, whereas in Beijing it can be Beijing duck. Here in Hong Kong it can be with goose. It can be with hairy crab in Shanghai. It can be with again spicy food in Sichuan. It can be pepper crab in Singapore. It can be a lot of different things. And of course, what we are convinced again is sweet wine in general are good with dessert, but sweet wine from Bordeaux are a little bit special. And I would say that personally all the best matches I had with these wines are actually playing with contrast and food with texture, and also like seafood. I was mentioning crab, but also fish and also any kind of seafoods. It works very, very good. And there is one thing which is for me important in China. Everybody at the table, we have the round table with a lot of food coming at the same time, right at the middle of the table, right? And you can have fish, you can have pork, you can have sweet, spicy, you can have sour food, you can have a lot of different food. And it's actually very challenging to find a wine which will pair with everything. And I would say that the wine which you will take the less risk are actually Sauternes wines and Chateau Guiraud.
Thank you very much, Augustin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.